Take a look at the word Harpazo. This video today, we're going to be taking a look at this DEFCON 2. We're going to be taking a look at the severity of the DEFCONs, because some people don't know what they are. That's the boss texting me. That's different from the train in the background. But anyway, we're going to take a look at why this word Harpazo is so real right now. When you think about what's going on with Iran and Israel and the United States, and you have China and you have Russia. And we know that we should be keeping an eye on Israel, because Israel is the apple of God's eye. Okay, no matter what, we got all these other distractions going on in the world right now. Especially with the mandates that's coming. This is not a fairy tale. This is real. The mandates are coming September. So let's take a look at this word Harpazo, okay? And if you go to Bible Tools, let's click on Bible Tools. And let's really think about this. Because the meaning of this word it brings such clarity right now. Let me see if I can close this out. This one right here, close. Okay, so now the word Harpazo, it's a Greek definition of rapture, what we see in the scripture, okay? It means to seize, to carry off by force, to seize on, claim for oneself eagerly. Now, could you see God seizing on and claiming for himself? To snatch out or away. It's a verb. It's an action word. It's a right now word. Again, we Harpazo. You have been Harpazoed in your life. We have Harpazoed our children, if you have children. You have Harpazoed someone else in your life, if you think about it, especially if you have kids. In these neighborhoods where folks like to race up and down the street in residential areas, and you have to snatch your child out of the way of danger. Snatch your child out of the street from just walking in the middle of the street and not paying attention. That's Harpazo, because danger is imminent. Whether you spell it with an E or an I, danger is imminent. Nuclear war would be imminent, is imminent when you look at the DEFCONs. Okay, so let's go to that. Let's take a look at why we would be Harpazo is a better word than rapture. Harpazo. Okay, so I've already got this pulled up. We're going to go to Google, okay? We're going to go to Adrenochrome, and let's take a look at the different DEFCONs. Israel is at DEFCON 2. DEFCON 2 is the worst you can be before something happens. Serious, imminent danger. Fast race. It says DEFCON 2, armed forces ready to deploy and engage in less than 6 hours. Think about that, folks. If they're at DEFCON 2 right now, and here's the thing, it's not being talked about on mainstream news. But I showed you the search results, and we'll go over those again because I got some other ones pulled up. They are ready to go. DEFCON 1 is it. Cocked pistol. That's it right there. Maximum readiness, immediate response. Okay? Now, DEFCON 4, the way the numbers go, that if we were at DEFCON 4, it's double take, above normal readiness. DEFCON 3, roundhouse, Air Force ready to mobilize in 15 minutes. They said that they're at DEFCON 2, which means they're ready to engage in less than 6 hours from any time that it's time to get it popping. We go to DEFCON 1, it's a done data. It's a done deal. Okay? This is how close we are. Because we're talking about nukes. Iran has nukes. Okay? They have nuclear weapons. And in all the rapture dreams, even in the, it's the thing too. We would have to be snatched before anything would go down. Right after we're snatched, then you would have immediate upset, upheaval, okay, things going bad. war, missiles starting to go off. Okay? Because again, in Revelation 6, the spirit of peace is taken from the earth. Okay? So the question would be, as it says in 1 Thessalonians or 2 Thessalonians, that you have the restrainer. So the restrainer covering the earth. There's certain things that are allowed or not allowed. But when the restrainer takes us off the planet, the question is always, well, would the restrainer still be here? And in theory, you could say yes, because if after the rapture, you still have, because the rapture would have happened already in Revelation 4. Because in Revelation 4, we're before the throne. And in Revelation 5, we're before the throne. Then the first seal starts to be open. Revelation 6, it says that the spirit of peace would then be taken from the earth. And people would have the upright authority to just purge each other. And then later on in that chapter, it talks about the price of food going up. So you have people out here killing folks over groceries just trying to eat. It's going to be a bad time. And then it just gets worse downhill from there, from that point on. Billions of people are going. This is not a fairy tale. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. No, 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 no. Billions of people with a B will die in tribulation throughout all 7 years. Billions will die. Jacob, your time is now. As I said before, Jacob, the leader of Jacob, is mandating the toxin, implementing the beast system. Can't buy, trade, or sell without that piece of paper that says you've been tagged for elimination. Okay, that's the new. So I think about it like this. People want Trump to come back, and you have Mike Lindell talking about his cyber symposiums. I've heard it. I haven't watched it, but because it doesn't make any difference to me. Our victory is not on this earth. Okay, but I believe that I don't just believe, I know that God raises up kings and he sets them down. Because God said he repented for making Saul king in the Old Testament. So that means he put Saul in place, even though Saul was a bonehead. And he chased David around trying to kill him because he was jealous, because David was getting more prop and praise than he was. And God delivered Saul into the hand of David in a cave, and David still didn't kill him. He said, listen, bro, I cut off a piece of your garment while you were asleep. I could have took your head off, but I didn't. Because I know my promise is to be king, but I don't want to get it that way. So we do know that God does raise up kings and sets them down. So I would believe God put slow Biden in office to make the United States look weak, because whether you agree or not, Trump is a stronger leader than slow Biden. So that means that the United States we're under weak leadership, no matter how he got in there. So that would make Russia and China take heed to that and attack the United States, because the United States has always backed Israel. And so then you would have a world war. That's the third world war that would begin. If this jumps off between, and ain't no if, it is, then the world is at war. Okay, it's no question about it, no doubt about it. The world is at war. Okay, will be at war. So let's go to DuckDuckGo. Okay, and I want to show you some things over here at DuckDuck. And as we are doing a study today, let's open Duck up. Let's take a look at Iran in the news. Because, again, and you have different articles. The stage is being set for war between Israel and Iran. This was August the 5th, okay? War with Iran is still likely. It's still less likely than you think. Some people say it will, some people think it won't. The U.S. has an excuse to go to war with Iran. Okay? The U.S. has an excuse to go to war with Iran. It just doesn't want to. Trump's response, okay, well, so you already see that we're in the beginning stages. Israel says it wants war with Iran and is meeting. This is Newsweek. This is the new. Let's click on this one. Let's click on this article, and let's open it up and see what Newsweek has to say. And this was 2019. So this has been going on for years. But recently, we see that they are at DEFCON 2. So this is Bible prophecy. Even if you've seen it 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 5 years ago, even to today, it has to happen. But it just won't happen. It's not going to happen until we're taken out of the way, until we're Harpazo, okay? What happens if America and Iran go to war? See, Iran has always been that country that is in the scripture, but it's not called Iran in the Bible, but it's always been that country because of Ishmael and Isaac. Ishmael always believed that since he was born first, he was the chosen son. He was not the promised son. Isaac was the promised son. But because Ishmael was born first, well, he thought he had rights and rule, and God told the maidservant that when Sarah kicked her out and she went out in the desert at night crying, God said, I'm going to bless you and your child, but your child will be the most hated in all of the world. Here you have the Arab nation. You have you have Iraq, Iran, the Arabics. You had, I can't think of these groups' names, but the United States created all of those groups. Bin Laden, because they worked for the CIA back in the day, and they were the factions that the government used to put in the countries to destroy a country's economy and infrastructure, and then they weaponized them as well, and gave them all the money, funded them, and then gave them weapons, and then that dog turned against us. That's all it is, folks. Okay, now let's go back to our DEFCON. Okay, so how important is DEFCON 2? It's very important, folks. Okay, August the 8th, DEFCON level. And then you see August 11th, that date that we studied from Leviticus 23. It still means a whole lot right now because of the announcement that was made on number 11. Just like, again, March 11, 2020, 9/11/2001. Okay, the flood began in March 11. Then you have the flood was upon the earth 40 days in Genesis 7 and 17, and it lifted the ark above the earth. So we see we're at DEFCON 2. This is a real thing. This is not a joke. DEFCON 2 at CENTCOM, Central Command in Middle Eastern. Okay, Deep State Watchdog. August 11th, the Taliban terrorists have captured 9 Afghani capitals in less than a week. Afghan forces have destroyed Taliban hideouts, and hundreds of Taliban militants have been reported to have been killed in large battle with Afghan forces. Listen, this is serious, folks. How close is Rapture now that DEFCON 2 has been launched or has been announced on August 11th? That's still a premium date, because I showed you 40 days after August 11th to September 20th. And the scripture was clear. 40 days it had rained upon the earth, and then the ark was lifted above. So we're still at DEFCON 2, folks. Now, let's go to some scripture right quick. And let's go to the Bible. Open this up, and we're going to get into Genesis. Come on, Bible app. We're going to get into Genesis. I want to show you that 40. Okay? But before we do that, we talked about in Las Vegas about, will we remember anything about what happened to life when we're raptured up? Okay? And if you type in the former things, and if you go into, let's see, there we go, Revelation 21:4, before we get into Genesis. And God shall wipe away all the tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, no more sorrow, no more crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. All of that would be done. But this is not until Revelation 21:4. So, will we be able to, will God allow, are we, if we're going to be tucked away, Isaiah 26:20, in our chambers while the indignation passes, Will we be watching the 7-year tribulation? We'll see. Is God going to allow that to see, for us to see that? Okay. So we do know that those things will pass. Former things will pass. We won't remember them, but that's not until Revelation 21 and 21 and 4. But I looked up Isaiah 48 and 43. It says, I have declared the former things from the beginning. This is telling me that rapture has already happened. He's already created it. And they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them. I did them suddenly. Suddenly rapture happens. And they came to pass. 48 and 3. Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is none else. I am God, and there is none like me. Okay? Remember you not the former things, neither consider the things of old. 43 and 9. Let all nations be gathered together, and let the people of the assemble, who among them can declare this, and show us former things. Can they show us former things? Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they might be justified, or let them hear and say, it is truth. Behold, the former things are come to pass. Now the new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. Okay? Ecclesiastes 1 and 11. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. That's something to think about. Okay, let's open this up. Ecclesiastes 1 and 11. Let's read the whole thing in context. Okay. Now we read 11. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. Okay. What shall come after? Now, let's go to 10. Here is there anything whereof it may be said, see it new? It has been already of old time, which was before us. So that's very important, because I've been telling you guys, the book of Ecclesiastes talks about future time before, talks about God's time frame, and we talk about rapture. And when you have people say ain't no such thing as rapture, well, the Bible is clear. God says, I've already done it. You just haven't walked into it yet. Verse 10, is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? So is there anything that said that there's new? It has already been of old time, which was before us. Let's go back up to 9. The thing that has been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. It's new to us, but it's not new to God. He already knows about the rapture. He already knows. Now, let's get into Genesis real quick. Okay, Bible app. Look at the devil. Don't want me to do anything. Okay, open this thing up. I might have to close it out and then come back into it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I want to get into Genesis. Now, open it back up. I want to show you about that 40 days real quick. Cell phone service has been crappy since these storms been rolling through here in the Midwest region. Go to Bible. Now, this thing does not want to open up. Okay, so back Ecclesiastes. What is going on? Let me pause real quick. Okay, so Genesis 7 and 17. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bore up the ark, and it was lifted above the earth. It was lifted above the earth. Okay. So let me make sure we're still recording. Yeah, we're lifted above the earth. So 40 days from August 11th is September 20th, which is Sukkot. I'm not telling you when rapture should be. We're just looking at some numbers. So in verse 17, the ark was lifted above the earth, and there you see Isaiah 26 and 20 coming to life. in Genesis 7 and 17. Okay, so let's go to Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah 26 and 20. Come, my people, enter into your chamber. That boat was a chamber. And shut the doors. The doors on the ark were shut about you. And they hid as for a little moment until the indignation overpassed. For behold, the Lord come out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity, Jacob's trouble, and all the rest of the people on the earth. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. All of these things will be brought out. So you look at 20, and that's telltale. This is what's going to happen. So no marriage during the rapture. That's not going to happen until Revelation 19, until you have the fullness of the tribulation saints come in, because they will be a part of the wedding. Okay, and it even tells you that in Revelation 19. But when the rapture happens, we're being tucked away, being stored up for the wedding. And then the guest of the wedding will be the tribulation saints. Look at 19. The dead men shall live. This sounds like Ecclesiastes. This sounds like 1 Thessalonians 4 and 16. Together with my dead body shall they rise. Awake and sing, ye that dwell in the dust. For thy dew is the dew of herbs. The earth shall cast out the dead. So when you look at 1 Thessalonians 4 and 16, the dead in Christ shall rise first. And then those which are alive and remain shall be gathered in the air in the clouds to meet Jesus, right? Look at verse 20. Come, my people, enter into your chambers and shut the doors about you. So that's the same as, I would say, the same as those of us who are alive and remain. The dead is always mentioned first, then those who are alive and remain also. Okay? So, with DEFCON 2, we have been with child. We have been in pain. We have, as it were, brought forth wind. We have worked. We have not worked any deliverance in the earth. Rot means to work or to beat. Neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. They haven't fallen yet. And they won't fall until after tribulation. So, when you think about where we are, and I'm going to end the video. DEFCON 2. Okay? DEFCON 2. Nuclear war, if we go to number 1. The snatching away the Harpazo would happen. And then all hell is going to break loose after that. Okay? So DEFCON 2 is very serious. DEFCON 1, we are out of here before DEFCON 1. Because DEFCON 2 says they ready for battle. They ready to do it. Okay? So with that, I hope you get some understanding about where we are with these alerts and how close. Rapture is imminent. Anytime, any place. We know all over the place. But it could happen at any time, folks. Just stay ready. We're past looking at dates right now. That DEFCON 2 was a shofar blow. It was a warning. Get your act together before the door closes. Okay? Share the video, like, subscribe if you're not. And we're going to keep watching. Peace.